Do those shapes look familiar to you? Circle, triangle, square, rectangle, diamond, hexagon. Can you find objects at home that has these shapes? For example, I am sitting right in front of the door right now and I see that the door looks like a big rectangle. It doesn't lie down like this. Its height is more than its width, but I can see that the door looks like a rectangle. Look around in your room. Do you see you have a circle mirror? Probably you're sitting right on a square chair, right? And look at your cup. The bottom of your cup might be a circle, right? So there are a lot of shapes around us. And starting this week, we will learn about shapes. And we will talk like mathematicians about shapes. We will start with the 2D shapes starting today. What is 2D? D here means dimensional, and it's a long word, so I didn't write it here. But 2D shapes look like the shape here. You can draw them on a paper, right? And they cannot stand. So the objects around us in the room, in your home, in the classroom, they are all actually 3D shapes. A 2D shape that you can find at home might be a paper because a paper cannot stand unless it's folded, right? Other than that, all the objects can stand and it has a thickness. Those shapes do not have the thickness, so it's 2D. Also, today we will learn that the 2D shapes have one important feature. And this word feature was from our oral vocabulary in our literacy last week, right? And we are using it today in math because those shapes all have special qualities. Look at those shapes. What do you find that they have in common? If I start from one point in this shape and I start drawing the shape, I find that I can end up being at the same point where I started, right? So those shapes are called closed shapes. 2D shapes are all closed. If you draw an object or any shape, it can be any shape that is open like this, right? If you do not go back to its original, your starting point, this is called an open shape. It's not a 2D shape because it's not closed. So we don't regard this as a shape. Okay, so all these shapes we can use one stroke to finish drawing, no matter where we start, right? It's hard to see it from a circle, but we can start the triangle from here. We can go trace the triangle like this, and it goes back to its original starting point. If I start the triangle from the middle, can I go back to its original spot? If I start in the middle, I still can trace it back by going along the shape and I go back. So you see, so all the shapes are closed. Remember that and keep that in mind. Also, today we will meet two math vocabulary words to talk about shapes because every shape have those. Although some shapes have more, some shapes have none, right? One word that we want to talk about is called vertex. Can you say the word vertex? Vertex is when two lines meet and they create that pointy angle, right? And this point This pointy angle here is called a vertex. However, when there are two or more vertex, we call them vertices. So this is a special way that we add s to a word to make it plural. Not like square, squares, when we just directly add s, right? That means two or more squares. But for the word vertex, we have to delete the x and, actually delete the EX and put ICES. So it's a little special about the word. But these two words are actually related. Vertex means one and vertices means two or more. Okay, so if we look at the triangle in detail, we can see that triangle is a closed shape, obviously, because it's a 2D shape, right? And how many vertices it has. So let's try to figure out how many pointy angles does a triangle have. One here, and one right here. It has three vertices. And also those lines, the straight lines, are called sides, right? And every two sides meet each other. So here is one side, two sides, three sides. So I can define a triangle as a triangle is a closed shape. It has three sides and three vertices. You got it? Now every shape we can use sides and vertices to define because every shape has different sides and vertices, right? Let's take a look at a rectangle here. A rectangle has straight lines too to make it a closed shape, right? So a rectangle is also a closed shape. Okay, how many sides does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sides, and how many vertices? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can use my little dots. I can circle those little vertices here to make sure that I'm counting right. 4 vertices. 4 sides, 4 vertices. Can we also work on the square? What kind of shape is a square? A square is obviously also a 2D shape, and it's a closed shape. How many sides does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say it together. A square is a closed shape. It has 4 sides and 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices. So here is my question. A rectangle has 4 sides and 4 vertices. A square also have 4 sides and 4 vertices. What are the difference? I'm not going to write the word here. What are the differences between the rectangle and the square? Think about it. We realized that a rectangle's sides are not equal, but a square sides are all equal, right? So the rectangle has 2 equal sides on the top and the bottom, and the left side and the right sides are equal too, but the 2 pairs are not equal. Okay, so that's the difference between rectangle and square. Now you are going to try. Your task is to define the 2 objects here. We have circle and hexagon. How do you define them? So use 2 sentences to talk about the 2 shapes, right? The first one is already written for you. You need to fill in the blanks. The second one, you need to write it yourself. If you feel this task is easy, you can go for a challenge. I'm going to ask you to define a star by counting how many sides and how many vertices a star have. Okay, so another thing that a lot of the shapes we can actually tell by words. For example, triangle starts from try, T-R-I. This is actually a root in English word. If you see a word starts with try, that means 3. For example, we have if mom deliver 3 babies at a time, we call them triplets, right? So triplets starts from TRI. Sometimes we see a vehicle with 3 wheels and we call them tricycle. Bicycle means 2 wheels, right? And bi means 2. The tri means 3. So this is a good way to learn a word. And if we break triangle into 2 words, we can see tri means 3. Angle is actually what we talked about here. It's the vertices right here, right? The vertices are the pointy point, but an angle is when 2 lines meet and it's what they form, right? So angle, a triangle actually has 3 angles. That's probably why the shape is named after. Okay, and when we talk about hexagon, hex usually refers to 6. So there are a lot of ways that we can figure out by just talking about the words. All right, so complete your task and you can submit this task in the lesson video task. You can upload it, show me your sentences, or even you can type it in the comments so I can see that too if you don't want to write it on the paper and submit it. Okay, I'm looking forward to your answers.